The first beer bottle hit the table just as Earl finished his eggs. "Hey, Grandpa, you're in our booth." Earl looked up slowly. Four men, leather vests, chains on their belts, sneers on their faces. "I said move, old man, or do those wheels not work?" Earl said nothing. He was 73 years old. He had not been called Grandpa by anyone who meant it in a kind way. The diner fell quiet. It was a Sunday morning in late October, the kind of morning where fog sits low on the roads and coffee tastes better than it should. Earl had been coming to this diner for 11 years. Same booth, same order, 2 eggs over easy, white toast, black coffee, no sugar. He came every Sunday because it was the only day the world moved slow enough for him. His wheelchair was parked beside the booth, a simple chair, government issue. The rubber on the left wheel was wearing thin. He had been meaning to fix it. The waitress, Linda, stood frozen behind the counter. She was 54 years old. She had worked here for 19 years. She had never seen anyone speak to Earl that way. No one had. The leader of the group stepped closer. He was maybe 40, heavy gut, beard that needed trimming, a patch on his vest that read Road Kings. "You deaf too," he said. Earl set down his fork. He looked at the man the way you might look at rain through a window. Not angry, not afraid, just watching. "I asked you a question," the man said. Earl's hands rested flat on the table. His fingers were crooked. Arthritis had taken most of his grip years ago. His knuckles were scarred in ways that did not come from farming or construction. "I heard you," Earl said. His voice was low, calm, the kind of calm that comes from having nothing left to prove. The biker smiled, not a kind smile. "Then get moving. This is our spot, has been for years." Earl did not move. Linda stepped forward from behind the counter. "Gentlemen, there are plenty of other booths. Maybe you could just—" "Shut up," the second biker said. He was younger, thinner, meaner in the eyes. Linda stopped. The diner had maybe 12 people in it, families, a couple of truckers, an elderly woman eating alone by the window. None of them moved. None of them spoke. This is how it always happens, Earl thought. People freeze. Not because they are cowards, because they do not know what to do when the world breaks its rules. He understood. He had seen it before. The leader leaned down. His breath smelled like stale beer and cigarettes. "You got 5 seconds, old man. Then we help you out of that booth ourselves." Earl looked at him. There was something in Earl's eyes that made the biker pause, just for a moment, a flicker of something the man did not recognize. But he ignored it. People usually did. "One," the biker said. Earl thought about his daughter. She lived in Colorado now. She had 2 kids. He had not seen them in 3 years. The distance was not miles, it was something else. 2. He thought about his wife, Margaret. She had passed 9 years ago, a Tuesday. He still remembered the sound of the machine stopping. 3. He thought about the men he had served with. Most of them were gone now, some from war, some from time, some from the weight of what they had carried. 4. Earl exhaled slowly. 5. The biker reached for Earl's collar. And then Earl did something no one expected. He grabbed the man's wrist. Not fast, not with force, just a grip, firm, controlled, the way you hold something you do not intend to let go. The biker tried to pull back. He could not. Earl's fingers were crooked, his knuckles were swollen, but his grip had not forgotten what it once knew. The diner was silent. "Sit down," Earl said. The words were not loud, but they carried weight, the kind of weight that fills a room. The biker's face changed, confusion first, then anger. "Let go of me," he said. Earl released him. The biker stumbled back. His friends stepped forward, 4 of them now, circling the booth. "You just made a mistake, old man," the leader said. Earl looked at each of them, one by one, the way a man counts rounds before a firefight. He said nothing. The younger biker reached down and grabbed Earl's wheelchair. He shoved it across the floor. It crashed into a table. Coffee spilled. A child started crying. "Oops," the biker said. The others laughed. Earl did not react. Inside his mind something stirred. Not anger, something older, something trained. He smelled salt water. He heard the thrum of helicopter blades. He felt the cold Pacific against his skin. 40 years ago, a night insertion off a coast he still could not name. He blinked. The memory faded. He was back in the diner. Sunday morning. Fog on the windows, for men who did not know who they were standing in front of. The leader grabbed Earl by the shoulder. "Get up." Earl did not resist. He let them pull him from the booth. His legs did not work the way they once had. A bullet in '79 had seen to that. He had walked for another 20 years after. Then the nerves gave out. The doctors called it delayed deterioration. Earl called it time. He stood with effort, leaning on the table. His body was failing him. It had been for years. But his eyes never changed. "Look at you," the leader said. "Can't even stand on your own." Earl said nothing. "Pathetic." The word hung in the air. Linda was crying behind the counter. She had her phone in her hand. She had already called the police. But the station was 20 minutes away. In a town this small, 20 minutes might as well be forever. The bikers shoved Earl toward the door. He stumbled, caught himself on a chair. His hip screamed in pain. He did not show it. "Out," the leader said, "and don't come back." Earl looked at him one last time. There was no fear in his eyes, no pleading, just something still, something deep. Then he turned and walked toward the door. His gait was uneven, slow. Each step cost him something, but he walked. The bikers laughed behind him. The other customers watched in silence, shame on their faces, shame they would carry home with them, shame that would sit in their stomachs for days. Earl pushed open the door. The cold air hit his face. It felt good, clean. He made his way to his truck, an old Chevy, 1992. He had owned it for 30 years. Margaret used to say it was more rust than metal. She was probably right. He opened the driver's door. There was a hand control system installed. He had taught himself to use it after the wheelchair became permanent. He sat in the cab. He did not start the engine. He just sat. His hands were shaking, not from fear, from something else, something he had not felt in a long time. He closed his eyes. He heard the ocean again. He heard the voices of men he had trained, young men, scared men, men who would become something more. He heard his own voice, younger, stronger. Pain is temporary, quitting lasts forever. He had said that 1,000 times, maybe more. He opened his eyes. The fog was lifting. The sun was trying to break through. He reached into his glove compartment. There was a small leather case inside. He had not opened it in years. He opened it now. Inside was a medal, gold, shaped like a star, the words Valor engraved on the back. He did not look at it long. He closed the case. He put it back. And then he heard the engines. Not the rough rumble of the bikers' motorcycles. Something different, something deliberate. He looked in his rearview mirror. 3 black SUVs were pulling into the parking lot. They moved in formation, clean, precise. Earl's heart slowed. He knew that formation. The vehicle stopped, doors opened. 8 men stepped out. They wore civilian clothes, jeans, t-shirts, jackets, but they moved the same, walked the same, looked the same. Shoulders back, eyes forward, no wasted motion. Earl recognized the posture. He had built it. One of the men was older than the rest, maybe 50, gray at the temples, a scar on his jaw. He walked toward the diner with the others following. The bikers were still inside, still laughing, still drinking coffee they had taken from Earl's table. The door opened. The 8 men walked in. The diner went silent again. The leader of the bikers looked up. His smile faded. "Can I help you?" he said. The older man with the scar did not answer. He scanned the room. His eyes moved from table to table, face to face. Then he saw the wheelchair on the floor. His jaw tightened. "Whose chair is that?" he asked. The room was silent. Linda spoke, her voice was shaking. "It belongs to Earl. They pushed him out. He's in his truck now." The older man turned to look out the window. He saw the Chevy. He saw the figure sitting inside. Something passed across his face, something deep. He turned back to the bikers. "Did you put your hands on that man?" he asked. The leader stood up. He was trying to look tough. It was not working. "Who the hell are you?" The older man stepped closer. The 7 others fanned out behind him, not aggressive, just present. "My name is Commander Thomas Reed," he said. "United States Navy, retired." The biker blinked. "Navy, what do you want?" Reed pointed toward the parking lot, toward the Chevy, toward Earl. "That man you pushed out, that man you called pathetic," he paused. "Do you know who he is?" The biker said nothing. "His name is Earl Jessup, Master Chief, SEAL Team 2, 1962 to 1989. The room was silent. He ran basic underwater demolition training for 15 years. He trained more SEALs than any instructor in the history of the program. Reed's voice was steady, quiet, but it filled the room. He completed 7 combat deployments. He was shot 3 times. He carried a wounded teammate 4 miles through jungle in Vietnam. He received the Navy Cross. Twice. The biker's face had gone pale. "I was one of his students," Reed said. 1984, Class 221. He made me what I am." He pointed to the men behind him. Every man in this room was trained by him, or by someone he trained. The silence was absolute. "You put your hands on him," Reed said. "You mocked him. You pushed him out like he was garbage." The biker opened his mouth. No words came out. Reed stepped closer. "Do you understand what that man gave? Do you understand what he sacrificed so you could sit here and drink beer on a Sunday morning?" The biker looked at his friends. They were all staring at the floor. "I didn't know," he said. "No," Reed said, "you didn't care." He let the words settle. "Now you're going to walk outside. You're going to apologize to him, and then you're going to leave this town, and you're never going to come back." The biker hesitated. "That wasn't a request," Reed said. The 4 bikers moved toward the door. Their leather vests looked smaller now. Their chains looked like toys. Outside, the fog had lifted completely. The sun was breaking through. Earl was still sitting in his truck. He had not moved. The bikers approached slowly. Their leader stopped beside the driver's window. Earl looked at him. The biker's eyes were wet. His hands were shaking. "I'm sorry," he said. "I didn't know." Earl studied him for a long moment. Then he nodded. "Just once." The bikers walked to their motorcycles. They started the engines. They rode away. They did not look back. Commander Reed walked to Earl's truck. He stopped beside the window. The 2 men looked at each other. Neither spoke for a long moment. "Master Chief," Reed finally said. "Tom," Earl replied. Reed's eyes were red. He was trying to hold himself together. "How did you know?" Earl asked. Reed reached into his pocket. He pulled out a phone. "Linda called my sister. She works at the church down the road. My sister called me." Earl nodded slowly. "You didn't have to come," he said. Reed shook his head. "Yes, I did." The other men had gathered behind Reed, 7 of them, all standing straight, all looking at Earl with the same expression. Respect. Not the kind you give because someone asks for it. The kind you carry because it was earned, long ago, in places most people will never see. You taught us something once, Reed said. You said the only easy day was yesterday. Earl was quiet. You were right, Reed said, about all of it. Earl looked at the men behind Reed. He recognized some of them. Others were too young, but they all had the same look, the same bearing. They were his legacy. Not the medals in his glove compartment, not the records in some Navy archive. These men, what they carried, what they passed on. Go home, Tom, Earl said. I'm fine. Reed hesitated. You sure? Earl looked toward the road. The bikers were gone. The diner was quiet. The fog was lifting. I've had worse Sundays, he said. Reed almost smiled, almost. He reached through the window and placed his hand on Earl's shoulder. He held it there for a moment. Then he stepped back. We'll be in the area for a few days, he said, visiting family. Earl understood. Take care of yourself, Master Chief. Earl nodded. The men walked back to their SUVs. They climbed in. The engine started. And then they were gone. Earl sat alone in his truck. The sun was fully out now. The parking lot was quiet. A few birds were singing somewhere in the trees. He reached into his glove compartment again. He took out the leather case. He held it in his hands. He did not open it. He did not need to. He knew what was inside. He knew what it had cost. After a while, he started the engine. He drove home. His house was small, a two-bedroom place on the edge of town. He had built the ramp himself when the wheelchair became permanent. It had taken him 3 weeks. He had to stop every hour because his hands would cramp. But he finished it. He always finished what he started. Inside, the house was quiet, clean, simple. There were photographs on the wall. Margaret on their wedding day. His daughter at her college graduation. A faded photo of a group of young men in wetsuits standing on a beach. Earl wheeled himself to the window. He looked out at the backyard. Margaret's garden was overgrown now. He could not tend it the way she had. But the roses still bloomed. Every spring without fail. He sat there for a long time. He thought about the diner, about the bikers, about the men who had come to stand for him. He thought about all the years, all the missions, all the faces. He thought about the price of the life he had chosen. And the gifts it had given him. Not medals, not glory. Brothers, men who remembered. Men who came. Outside, the sun was setting. The sky turned gold, then orange, then deep purple. Earl watched it all. He did not need to explain what he had been. He did not need to prove what he had done. He had lived it. That was enough. The darkness came slowly. Earl did not turn on the lights. He sat in the quiet. And somewhere in the stillness, he smiled. Just a little. Just enough. Then he closed his eyes. And he rested. You are a professional YouTube storyteller specializing in quiet, emotional, slow-burn veteran stories for audiences aged 50-65 plus. Write one complete, highly engaging story based on this topic. Bikers messed with an old disabled veteran. 20 minutes later, Navy SEALs showed up. Total word count, 3,400. Strict story rules do not break. The main character must be an old man, veteran, or forgotten figure connected to military service, discipline, or sacrifice. The story must begin with clear disrespect, doubt, or quiet injustice toward the old man within the first 5-7 lines. Use very simple English. Short sentences. Calm, serious, masculine tone. No slang, no jokes, no fantasy, no sci-fi, no romance. The story must feel real and grounded, even if dramatized. Mandatory story flow, natural, not labeled. Strong disrespect-based hook that makes the listener pause. Quiet setup of the old man, appearance, silence, restraint. Social pressure or humiliation that slowly builds tension. One or two short flashback moments, sensory only. Smell, sound, fear, no history lecture. A hidden identity, skill, or reputation that the old man does not openly explain. Respect or truth revealed through action or an authority figure, no bragging. A quiet ending with dignity and implied wisdom, no speeches, no preaching. Style RQRMNTS. Slow burn packing. Minimal dialogue. Let silence, pauses, and restraint carry emotion. Avoid cinematic exaggeration. Avoid repeating medals, ranks, or salutes unless necessary. The story must work with only 4 or 5 static images and voice narration alone. Important. Do not explain the moral. Do not summarize at the end. Do not rush the reveal. Let respect arrive naturally. Only write the story, nothing else. Ask follow-up.